Morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Thursday, November 14th, 2013. Well, drum roll please. Apparently last night in Brussels, after a marathon negotiating session, European regulators and European Parliament members agreed to a deal on something called Omnibus II. Omnibus II may not mean anything to any listener, but what it is it's the directive underpinning the long-awaited Solvency II capital regime, which will be the new way that banks, insurers, and reinsurers will be regulated throughout the European Union and the United Kingdom. The news of a deal came via, of all things, Twitter, from a member of Parliament in Southeast England, a woman named Sharon Bowles, who's the chair of the European Parliament's Economic and Monetary Affairs Committee. If this is true, this is very good news indeed. Certainty is something that the market has been looking for and spending an awful lot of money on as it has prepared for Solvency II. The bill, or the law, was supposed to have taken effect years ago, and as of right now is scheduled to take effect in 2016. More will be revealed today, but if it is a deal, that will be good news for everybody. Yesterday in Spain, a court acquitted 3 people blamed for the sinking of an oil tanker in 2002. The tanker was the Prestige oil tanker, that was the name of it. It sank off the coast of Galicia in northwestern Spain. It was a very serious environmental disaster. It killed about 250,000 birds and fouled about 1,800 miles of beaches. It spilled about 60,000 tons of fuel. What occurred was after the first distress call came in, the 3 people who were under indictment, the captain, the navigator, and the first mate, took the ship offshore. And offshore, then the ship ended up breaking in two and sinking and releasing the oil. Charges were brought of criminal conduct against the 3 men. The judge acquitted them and blamed the disaster on a, quote, structural fault of the ship due to deficient maintenance and upkeep checks. The court also determined that the government who ordered the ship offshore had made the right decision when it ordered the vessel towed out to sea. This was an 8-month-long trial that had more than 200 witnesses involved. We have some financial news from Lloyd's participants, as well as others. The Lloyd's syndicate Amlin said it expects to beat its 15% return on equity target for the year as a whole after a, quote, excellent underwriting performance during the 3rd quarter. That's amazing news for them, considering that everybody else is not having that experience. Standard & Poor's has downgraded Royal Sun Alliance. Royal Sun Alliance went from an A+ down to a single A. This is after accounting problems have surfaced at the group's Irish unit, as well as some weather-related claims that the group has taken, as well as everybody else, from the hailstorms in Europe. And Tower Group, which can't seem to get a break, apparently is going to be forced to restate its financial statements due to, quote, inadvertent mistakes in prior period financial statements. They admitted this in a filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission yesterday. Tower said it was not yet able to file its delayed 2nd quarter results, let alone its 3rd quarter results, and it's still working with its auditors to resolve the matters relating to the $365 million reserve charge it announced last month. Well, now Apple Computer is under investigation in Italy for allegedly hiding more than $1.3 billion from local tax authorities. Prosecutors have accused Apple of hiding more than $200 million in 2010 and about $900 million in 2011. The Italian subsidiary of Apple is accused of booking some of its profits through its Irish-based subsidiary, thereby reducing its taxable income in Italy. This is a pretty standard procedure in the United States, but apparently Italian tax authorities, faced with dwindling revenue, have become more aggressive with domestic and multinational companies and are looking under every rock for revenue. At a Tata steel plant in the city of Jamshedpur in India, an explosion in a liquid gas holder inside a factory caused injuries to about 5 people and has temporarily shut the plant down. Tata says that the damage was done to a roof and an adjoining gas pipeline, but the major catastrophe was averted. Meanwhile, in Saudi Arabia, we've been watching this. There have been some significant signs of unrest. Violent riots have taken place in neighborhoods surrounding the capital of Riyadh, in the neighborhoods where many millions of migrant workers live. It now appears that a number of people have been killed between confrontations between police and migrant workers. Gunshots could be heard occasionally from inside Mount Foha, a low-income area of Riyadh that is home to many immigrants. In an attempt to cut the 12.5% unemployment rate that exists for native Saudis, the Saudi Arabian government is pushing its 9 million foreigners to resolve irregularities in their visa documents or leave the country. Tens of thousands of people with incorrect paperwork have been deported. Of course, it's unknown whether or not native Saudi Arabians will perform the jobs that those immigrants, in fact, perform. That's going to be doubtful. Meanwhile, a milestone was reached. The United States produced more crude oil in October than it imported for the first time. This is the first time since early 1995, or about 18 years ago. U.S. crude production reached about 7.7 million barrels a day in October, and net crude imports were about 7.6 million. The turnaround of U.S. oil fortunes has been very rapid. 5 years ago, American oil production hit a 62-year low. Since then, U.S. production has increased by more than 50%. Meanwhile, in India, a passenger train plowed into a herd of elephants in the eastern part of the country, killing 7 of them. The crash was the worst of its kind in recent memory. The train was traveling at about 50 miles per hour through the Chapramari forest when it struck the herd of 40 elephants crossing the tracks at dusk. The herd scattered but returned to the railway tracks and stood there for quite some time before they were driven away by forest guards and railway workers who had rushed to the spot after the accident. Apparently, animal rights authorities say that the train ignored requests to have, the train company have ignored requests to have their trains reduce their speeds inside this elephant corridor and continue to barrel along at the high speed. Dozens of elephants have died in recent years after being struck while crossing railroad tracks that run through India's national parks. A wildlife activist blamed unrestricted movements of trains for the accidents. I don't know how trains' movements can be unrestricted. The last time I checked, they run on railroad tracks. There are some 26,000 wild elephants in India. It's a tragedy, but there should be some way to avoid that. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.